Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, Disney Marvel's latest disastrous dumpster fire, Agatha All Along, premiered on Disney Plus last night, and well, the reviews are officially in. Now, we knew this was probably going to be a little bit of a disastrous dumpster fire because Disney knew that they had a hot pile of steaming garbage on their hands. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made it to where their review embargo was literally all the way up until the series actually premiered on Disney Plus. If they thought they had a good show on their hands, they would have let those things come out early so that way all of the hype could build up and more people would have tuned in. But as we've all seen time and time again, as history does always end up repeating itself, boys and girls, we knew what we were getting right from the very beginning. We just covered our dear sweet friend Alan Ng over there at Film Thread, what he thought of it, his social media reaction to it in our last video over it. And well, now we've got the official critics scores in, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, your initial little hit over on this page doesn't tell the complete and total story over here on Rotten Tomatoes, because at the end of the day, we know how easy it is to game this system when it comes to how they decide who are critics and who are actually just the audience out there, because we've seen the kind of requirements they have for their actual critics out there. And what's really funny is it seems like even maybe the top critics lines are starting to fall a little bit as well, because boys and girls, this show is not very liked by the actual top critics out there, boys and girls. Now, yes, everybody with their own favorite fan site or YouTube or blog that meets the diversity requirements for Rotten Tomatoes, of course, gets to go out there and be considered a critic as well. But ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, we know this is where a lot of the legacy media institutions are. These are the people that actually get paid for this show, and they are paid for actually doing this for a full-time living. And ladies and gentlemen, they are not happy with it in any way, shape, or form. So we're going to check out this little page over here from Rotten Tomatoes, show you what the scores are, and of course, what some of these reviewers are saying as well. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, let us know in the comment section down below, what do you think about all of this? Do you think this will end up boding well for Disney Marvel out there, or do you think this is just a nothing more than foreshadowing for exactly how much of a disastrous dumpster fire the ratings will be for this show? Let us know what you think about all that down below. Plus, it helps with the algorithm. So, over here at Rotten Tomatoes, we've got it over here, and they've certified it fresh, boys and girls. They have certified it fresh because for 73 reviews from all of the people they define as a critic based on a bunch of immutable characteristics and the fact that they agree with the agenda, gives it a 79%. So yes, all of those people that Disney sends care packages to, that give them early access, and that their whole livelihood depends on being able to sniff Disney's butt, they all loved it. Well, not really. A 79% is still pretty poor, ladies and gentlemen. That's still a bit of a disastrous dumpster fire, truth be told, considering a lot of time these shills end up giving these things like 90s and 70s. But as you can see, even that wasn't a case. Even the shills themselves had to agree that this stuff was not so hot, obviously giving it a 79%. But of course, the top critics are what we really like to look at, because this thing is almost evenly divided between fresh and rotten. And even then, there's only 17 top critic reviews on this whole thing out there. And that is also probably indicative of what the disastrous dumpster fire that this was going to be as well, because a lot of people simply did not want to review it. But what are some of those reviews saying? What are those people out there that actually do this for a full-time living, besides all of us crazy YouTubers out there, or Rumblers in some cases? What do they have to say about it? Well, let's start off with Lucy Mangan from The Guardian. Although it remains indubitably Han's show, you can take your eyes off her as she constantly edges up against scenery chewing without ever going too far. She is surrounded by excellence. Oh yes, the cast is fabulous. Well, color rush shock there with people like Catherine Han and Aubrey Plaza. The cast better be fabulous, and even no matter what a disastrous dumpster fire of a script and show that they give them, those people are going to excel no matter what you give them. But at the end of the day, if the story doesn't make any sense and is the same kind of repetitive nonsense over and over again, it does not matter. Your stars will not save it. Seattle Times. Agatha All Along has some appeal, but it's not as creative as WandaVision, and therefore to feature the same plot over and over, episode after episode. And I caught Film Threat's review of this with Alan and Chris Gore, aka Frank Gore, out there on their show. I got to catch this while I was editing some videos yesterday, and they literally said this episode, because they've watched the first 4 episodes, right? Because they're actually paid legitimate critics out there. I don't know if they're qualified as top critics according to Rotten Tomato standard, but they're top critics in our eyes at the end of the day. But literally what they said is every single episode is mystery, is escape room after escape room. They end up in a situation, they're stuck in a room, they have to find their way out of it, whether it be mixing a potion or whether they're doing something else, spoilers, or any of that other kind of stuff. And literally, it's nothing more than escape room after escape room over and over again. It's dry, it's dull, it's boring. And that's exactly what Rob Owens over there at the Seattle Times says. It's cleverly done and very funny, but also suspenseful and a little scary, with a winning combination of supernatural and banal, says the Los Angeles Times. Now, this one I thought was funny as well. Episodic Medium, a Substack, right? So essentially someone's personal blog that they can get paid for, right? They're qualified as a top critic according to Rotten Tomatoes. Seems a little sus to me, but hey, you do you, Rotten Tomatoes. Agatha All Along ultimately belongs less to the live-action superhero canon than it does to a witch one. A proud tradition that includes everything from the Wizard of Oz to the Witches of Eastwick. And it's actually funny, because that was one of the comments that some people had made, too. Is like, if you literally made this a Hocus Pocus movie, it might actually be okay and not a Marvel movie. This is not a Marvel movie, so it seems like a lot of people actually do agree with her. The Daily Beast says, a present trifle that's nothing more than a franchise footnote. Ouch! USA Today. Not one of them seems quite to know what the show they're in, but they all seem to be having fun, and it can be contagious if confusing. Yes, they concentrate on agenda and identity politics over good quality storytelling and a plot that makes sense. San Francisco Chronicle, right? Remember how this is considered the gayest Marvel series ever? The San Francisco Chronicle gave it a rotten. Neither scary, funny, nor engaging enough. Agatha flails when it's not meandering. IndieWire. We need to invest in this coven, especially the new members. And if you get halfway through a show and still aren't sure why anyone or anything matters, then you better be laughing, cowering, or cheering more often than Agatha can conjure. I mean, it just goes on, and you can go over to Rotten Tomatoes and read all those for yourself, but it comes down to the exact same thing, boys and girls. This show is going to be a disastrous dumpster fire. Disney Marvel knew it, Kevin Feige knew it, and we all knew it too. Why? Because as always, they have concentrated on diversity, inclusion, and equity over good storytelling. This is a kind of show that would be made for a fan like me. I love all the supernatural stuff. I love all the witches and the demons and all that kind of stuff. I really enjoyed WandaVision all the way up until the very end of the show, and then they ended up making Wanda the villain. And I actually really I love all of those kind of aspects. I love Doctor Strange and all of that kind of stuff. This is a show that should have been made for me. But instead, we get propaganda, we get a boring and bland story that probably doesn't make any sense because all of the edits they had to do to even make this halfway palatable to cross Kevin Feige's desk. And now it's going to turn into a disastrous dumpster fire. We knew from the rumors that we were going to get at least a couple more bad shows. This, of course, is one of them after Marvel decided to go in and clean house with all of its activist executive producers. So yes, boys and girls, there's even a change in the wind with the top critics out there. Identity politics and being the gayest show ever does not no longer garner you an actual top critic score that's even resemble as anything that can be qualified as good. Agatha All Along is a disastrous dumpster fire. It's exactly what we always expected it to be. More meandering mess with a story that goes absolutely nowhere in any way, shape, or form. And boys and girls, if these ratings are anything whatsoever to be foreboding for the future of these ratings, well, I know exactly what we're going to get. I can't wait to see it. My only question is, will it be better or worse than The Acolyte? Time will tell. And at the end of the day, Disney Marvel, you get exactly what you deserve.